ancient cities and anti-gravity craft found on the moon reportedly. I'm translating this from a Greek article on Diadrastika. And one of my previous videos today, if you're kind enough to refer to them, having to do with Atlantis and why it was destroyed, there's a link to that article and the video by Manly P. Hall. I'm still listening to it, it's about an hour and a half, but it's very interesting what he says, that it could be that the UFOs and the ETs that we're seeing are the leftovers of the Atlanteans that escaped the sinking of the lost continent of Atlantis. Because as various ancient Greek philosophers wrote, there were those that escaped Atlantis and resettled in other areas worldwide. And that's even told to us and recorded in the Emerald Tablets by the Atlantean Thoth. And he claims that it's the exact same thing that the Greek philosophers were claiming. Some of them did escape and took their very advanced technology with them. And they were also, of course, flying. They had the aircraft, and they also had spacecraft, and they were also doing time traveling, and they were doing interdimensional traveling. And they were abusing their knowledge to the point where the ultimate high God decided to destroy them. And some of them did escape with their knowledge. And it could be that these entities that we're seeing, these light orbs creating these crop circles, or these very strange craft that we see going in and out of other dimensions, could be them, according to Manly P. Hall. And I'll leave a link again for that video on this one here so that you can see that. It's very nice. He's got a lot of details in there. Even the fact that the ancient American native tribes of the Americas had the Chaldean alphabet that looks like the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet. And they recognized it when he showed it to them, when Manly P. Hall showed it to one of the chieftains. He recognized the alphabet. So there's a lot there in this archaeology, puzzle pieces that are fitting together. Now, according to this, there are ancient structures and even anti-gravity craft found on the moon, reportedly. The former director of the Data and Photo Control Department at NASA's Lunar Image Processing Laboratory, Ken Johnson, who was in charge of the Apollo manned lunar program, has revealed quite a few shocking things concerning all this. And this specialized scientist has discovered that American astronauts have found outdated machines, ancient machines, old machines of unknown origin on the moon's territory, on the surface of the moon. They even found a gravity control technology machine, and it was not just what they found when they were hired to do this job. Astronauts photographed the objects, but NASA ordered Johnson to destroy photos immediately. However, Johnson did not follow those instructions, and in his report, the former director said the U.S. government had kept this information secret for 40 years. Johnson's revelations, dating back to the time of the Apollo program, were recently presented in a book titled Dark Mission, The Secret History of NASA. Dark Mission, The Secret History of NASA was the title of the book. This book is also co-signed by former NASA consultant Richard Hoagland, as well as Mike Barra, an aerospace engineering consultant, as JPL director of the SSA program became known after a phone call with Johnson last week on the occasion of the book's release. He was asked to resign from his position in the space program. The reason was that NASA was criticized. Johnson declined to step down and said he was protected by the law on freedom of speech. However, Ferrari removed him from NASA's space program without justifying his decision, and the low-resolution photos contained in his book depict damaged buildings with huge glass domes, as well as stone towers that appear to sit in the air. Quote, "I have nothing to lose. I'm in conflict with NASA and I'm hot," end quote, said Ken Johnston. Now, NASA believes that the ancient civilizations found on the moon is not something that is a serious matter. But the authors of the book argue that President John F. Kennedy, who promoted the space rapprochement with the Soviet Union, really intended to share extraterrestrial technologies with Moscow. Indeed, in a speech to the United Nations in September of 1963, Kennedy made a proposal to the USSR to organize a joint mission to the moon. Richard Hoagland said that Washington's interest in the exploration of the moon has recently been based on lunar conclusions that have been evaluated for 40 years. Russia, China, Japan, and even India have publicly announced their plans to work on exploring the moon. That is why the US are rushing, as Hoagland said, to be the first to evaluate the antiquities of the moon, the various ancient constructed artifacts. And in our section, Conspiracy Theories, you can find out about all the theories that are circulating. And if you see the video just before this one, it's NASA rover images of what looks like an alien dome. It's very shiny, metallic looking. And right next to that, to the right of that, there's another thing like looks like a little outpost, I call it. But these are the rover images. These are actual NASA images, and they show that there's some kind of structures there. Now, there's nothing commented by NASA as to what they are, but they're very clearly, they look to me not to be natural. They're not at all like the debris in the area, and they look to me to be totally constructed. And now it could be that the Atlanteans were up there too. We know that they were taking, they were conducting space travel, and and I will of course leave Manly P. Hall's video so you can listen to that. It's about an hour and a half, and it's got a lot of beautiful details in there. And since we're talking about structures, I think I want to leave some videos by Richard Hoagland, and even the monuments of Mars, Richard C. Hoagland, and he says here that the face and the pyramids on Mars, they do not appear to be of natural or normal existence. They look like they had to be fashioned by some intelligent beings. And this is about short of 2 hours by 10 minutes. And these are, because of the fact that he's very knowledgeable. I mean, he's a specialist in all this. Richard Hoagland is an American author and proponent of various conspiracy theories about NASA, lost alien civilizations on the moon and Mars, and other related topics. And let's see, according to Wikipedia, I really like him. I find him very interesting. He has a lot of detail to tell us. Notable work is the Monuments of Mars, a City on the Edge of Forever, International or Armstrong Medal of Excellence in Service, Nobel Prize for Astronomy in 1997, and has no education beyond high school level, according to Hoagland's own curriculum vitae. No advanced training school degrees or a scientific field. He was a curator of astronomy and space science in the Springfield Science Museum from 64 to 67, and assistant director of the Gengras Science Center in West Hartford, Connecticut, and science advisor to CBS News during Apollo program. Hoagland filed a copyright registration for a planetarium presentation and show script called The Grand Tour, and claims by Hoagland, source of so-called NASA cover-up relating to the face on Mars and other related structures, the result of a report commissioned by NASA authored by the Brookings Institute, the so-called Brookings Report, and proposed studies the implication of peaceful space activities for human affairs. Anyway, he's very knowledgeable, and he's got some controversies. Anyway, I'll leave a link below. You can watch the video on the Monument of Mars, and it's very interesting. We should know what's going on there. And again, we have to keep in mind, the video by Manly P. Hall, that and also, Thoth, the Atlantean who wrote on the emerald tablets, explained to us thousands of years ago, this was supposedly reported that it was like 11,000 years before the 15,000 years ago the era that an ancient Egyptian priest told Solon, who told Plato. So just about around 27,000 years ago, when we had the Taupo super volcanic eruption of New Zealand. It could maybe it was that, maybe that had something to do with the sinking of Atlantis as well. But supposedly the Earth was not in the geographical identity that we have now. The continents were much closer, supposedly. I don't think that was 27,000 years ago. That must have been a million years ago. But anyway, interesting stuff. And tell me what you think once you see the videos. I think you'll benefit greatly from them. So I'll leave links for the two videos as well. Thank you. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.